This Fesat Liqueta.
This is Joe Cole.
This is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and you're listening to the
London is Blue podcast.
All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. Your host, Brandon, as always, joined by my co-hosts, Nick and Dan. And gentlemen, it is London Derby Day. It is not a rivalry day if you talk to Dan in our pre-match pod. But Nick, you are back after a weekend home with the fam, skipping the pre-match. And boy, just wipe it off your face. That's disgusting.
I'm sorry. For those listening, I have a smug look on my face. Don't worry about it, though. It's just the way my face is after I get something really, really right, you know?
We don't see it often, but when we do, it is majestic.
Not often at all. So obviously, in case you somehow missed it, Nick predicted, I think it was in the Q&A pod mid last week, that Lukaku would score within 15 minutes of him stepping on the pitch, whether it be a start or a substitute appearance. Holy shit. Where you stared at the clock, and it was 14 minutes and like 27 seconds.
I won't lie. I was bricking it a little bit because there was an injury on the field, and that took up like 2.5 minutes of the 15 minutes. And
so you would have argued that.
I would have attempted to argue it, although I think I would have probably come up short because all the minutes count the same. But the fact that he did it at 14:40 on his first appearance for Chelsea, I jumped out of my seat and fist pumped the air because I don't get these right that often, and it was very nice for him to let me have one of these, you know.
Surprised he didn't shout you out in the post-match presser, if I'm being honest.
Big Rom, come on, man.
He's got 7 languages he could do it in. You know, he just needed one.
Yeah, well, it was celebrated quite wildly on social media within our small circle, and Discord erupted, to which I think you missed all the notifications. But look, this is just another reason, Dan, why we are absolutely endeared to Romelu Lukaku coming back to the club, especially when he drops just quotes that tugs at a fan's heartstrings.
Look, the quote before, and credit to the club, they did a wonderful job getting the emotions ready for you for this debut.
Oh, yeah.
With the interviews, Lee did a phenomenal job. Joe did a wonderful job. Everyone involved in the club did a really nice job putting the packages together. But the quote that came out, that was probably my favorite. Like, there are people who like Real Madrid, people who like Barcelona, people who like Inter Milan. I like Chelsea. There you go. Like, the guy does not view Chelsea as the stepping stone to another club. And Chelsea is the pinnacle of what it means to be a footballer. And boy, oh boy, if you weren't excited before that quote came out, like, I don't know, you gotta check your pulse.
Look, man, this is what a lot of footballers will say when they move to a new club, right? It was my boyhood dream to play for X club or Y club or Z club.
They're one of the best clubs in the world.
Yeah.
We're here to win titles.
Yeah, it's the thing when you have a player career on FIFA where it just has like the auto-populate, nice thing about a club. He means this shit. Yeah. He means it. We've seen it before. He really wants to be here. And boy, oh boy, did he play like he wanted to be here today. My God, he was good. I
mean, Tuchel even said it in his post-match press conference when he's talking about Rom. He's like, look, he's a fan. He loves this club. It's a bonus for sure. But today was, you go back to that clip, 15 years ago or whatever it was, and he was at the bridge as a kid, with his Belgian team. And he's like, I'm going to be on that pitch and I'm going to score goals. So I was like, hey, he banked one today. All right. One of many, but we can't get completely disrupted by Romelu Lukaku love fest here, because there's much more to this episode. Arsenal match review, plenty to talk about. We're going to be talking about the immediate impact we saw with Lukaku. We're going to be talking about some of the stellar performances. I think Reece James kind of topped the charts with that one. But we got to kick it off, Dan, with the pulse check. All right, pulse of the Chelsea community. Where are they at? How are we happy? And how much salt are we throwing at Arsenal fans right now?
Well, we call them the pre-word match reviews. We get these right after the match ends. So there's a lot of emotion, a lot of energy that come in these. Big Nash going in hard, going in two-footed with the tackle there with Arsenal. How's relegation? Because where they're at in the table right now. Our boy Eli with big Nick energy with the shout out to the call. There were a lot for you, Nick. I couldn't fit them on here, so you just have to go back and bronze them yourself or something. Jay with the Rwanda further displeased, which if you don't know, Rwanda was very displeased with Arsenal's preseason form. Mason Mount unknowingly submitted one in his Instagram post afterwards when he said Derby Day delight, and that was quite wonderful. Elizabeth with the look who's back, which made a lot of sense, and a lot of people had that one, but William coming in with that's the obvious one, so I'm going to go with Reece motherfucking James. Our boy Dean Mears with the Arsenal's new owner. Clayton with the just like Mourinho. Grant DeSchmidt with the Lukaku you biscuit, and he mentions that in South Africa there is something called a Mari biscuit, which Mari did crumble in this match, so it works for me. EM with the Hunt Brigands, Barry with the Rom Reese route, and then Kate had a wonderful collection that goes together like a little bit of a poem. London is blue, Arsenal is 2, Mendy's clean sheet, forced Gunners defeat, and it's CFC winning the league with Romelu Lukaku leading the team.
God damn. I mean, look, all of these are wonderful. Kate, absolutely epic. Well done. You just got pipped. Just got pipped by a smidge for my favorite one by our boy John Dolazar. Rom-com smash debut. I think it's just unbelievable. It actually plays into what we're going to talk about later with Lasso on the Underdog. So it was kind of a perfect swirl of energy for what we're doing. But it doesn't get better than rom-com smash debut for me. I just absolutely love that one and thought it was totally on point.
Rom-com, in case you're keeping track at home, counting words. Rom-com smash debut. All right, I guess we had our own as well. So Dan, I would love for you to lead off with yours, actually.
Well, if you don't know, Arsenal is the subject of the All for Nothing, not All or Nothing. For Arsenal, it's the All for Nothing TV series. And I just had to think that the prime producers are salivating because this is going to be a tasty, messy season, and they have picked the perfect club to cover.
Yeah, how much fan content or like fan interview do you think they're going to get for this? I mean, the amount of B-roll that they're going to see of like Arteta, after the match, be like, no, fans were great. And they're going to plug in the fans giving them the two fingers and everything. Like they're booing. Like I don't know what world he lived in, but the producers are definitely going to capture a different reality from what Arteta sees.
It's like when they announced a couple of years ago that the Raiders were going to be the subject of Hard Knocks, and you're like, everything's going to go wrong for them. It's going to be epic. Like perfect. Yeah.
Nick, we'll go ahead and let you continue your celebratory parade.
Right on cue. Thank you, Mr. Lukaku.
Ridiculous.
You're a wonderful, wonderful man. Thank you.
All right. I put Tuchel's new toy. So he's having fun. Put him right in the lineup.
Just imagine him on Christmas Day out there, like the little sports car thing that you can move around, whatever they're called. Just
remote
zooming up and
car.
down. Yeah, whatever that is.
You need to get new shoes and you wear them out of the store.
Yeah.
RC stands for remote control. So anyways, let us go ahead and say thank you before we get into this one. Real quick, on Patreon, we've got Brian, Andrew, Ben on the yearly sub train with new subs, Paul, Kyle, Alan, Chris, Jeff, Zach, and Jason and Nikki as a couple joining forces to jump in on our Patreon. So obviously, Match Day Madness, we have a huge group chat. I think we're getting close to 400 people in the Discord server. All fairly reasonable, rational, awesome human beings. So get out of Twitter if you need somewhere else to come. And then also we're doing that Ted Lasso video podcast series right now called The Underdogs. So very fun content we have there. Dan, I don't know how you're going to do it. We have 21 Apple Podcast reviews. And of these 21, how many of them are 1 star or below, Dan?
Well, I put out the 1 star. That one doesn't deserve recognition or time of day because 21 heroes came to town, came to Mo, and
all
they left some wonderful 5-star reviews. We want to thank one Clive Walker, Belgian Chelsea, Ben C.G., KBI Blues, Nate Mac 15, Gabriel Yoon, who had left amazing review, also part of our Patreon Discord community. Lucy Juice from the U.S., Nick and Mar. Nick Bueno, also a member of the Boston Blues. Shout out to our friends there. Hopefully they're staying safe with some of the hurricane and kind of inclement weather there. Steeweed from Switzerland. Westy136 from the U.K. Gustav Eriksson from Sweden. Sea Dog Millionaire from the U.S. H. Run Shirt Curry. from the U.S., Francois. Second from the U.S., Jeremy from his wife's phone. Thank you
What's
for
up,
the love and
Jeremy?
support there. C. Turi 11, longtime listener, leaving his 5-star review. Joe, call us the Goat Pod. We appreciate that. Benji Toe from Trinidad and Tobago, and then Liam Polson from the UK. Oh, amazing people for leaving 5-star reviews, and you should do that as well if you haven't done it before, so you can get a shout out in the next episode.
It's getting to the point where there's not that many people left. I think we're about tapped out of our audience.
I refuse to believe that. I think there are thousands of more people who need to submit these, and I just want to give a special shout out to Trinidad and Tobago. What's up?
All right, well, let's jump into the match review now that we've gotten a sense of the pulse leading into this one. It was Arsenal this past Sunday, the 22nd of August, in the Premier League at the Emirates. Arsenal.
No.
Nil.
It's at Stamford Bridge North. I'm sorry. It's not the Emirates anymore.
I mean, look, if things go the way that we think they're going to go, you're going to have to be a little bit more clarifying than Stamford Bridge North, because I think there might be a couple up there at the end of the season. So you guys work on that for us. But the scoreline was Arsenal 0. We learned from Roy Kent, it's not 0. Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2. Let's go ahead and run it over to the fifth standout for the highlights. Remind you just how glorious this was. So thank you to Chelsea for letting us use these. And hey, if you haven't downloaded the official app of Chelsea FC, go do it now. Here we go. All right, Dan, now that we know how it happened, let us know who made it happen with a lineup.
Well, it was Edouard Mendy between the sticks, Antonio Rudiger, Andreas Christensen, and Cesar Azpilicueta in the back three. Trevor Chalobah goes back to the bench. Marcus Alonso, Jorginho, Mateo Kovacic, and Reece James made up that midfield four. And then you had Romelu Lukaku, Mason Mount, and Kai Havertz as your front three. Kepa, Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma, Ben Chilwell, Trev Chalobah, previously mentioned, and Callum Hudson-Odoi were your unused substitutes. And it was N'Golo Kante coming off to lock it up in the 72nd minute, followed by Hakim Ziyech in the 82nd, and then Timo Werner as your luxury 1, 2, 3 minute sub at the very end of the game.
Nothing like him bringing on N'Golo Kante for the John Obi Mikel closer role.
He largely brought him on just to have N'Golo do nutmegs on people. It was pretty awesome.
He was having fun out there. Some of the top line match stats, let me remind you, we were the visiting team with 65% of the possession. We had 22 shots, only 5 on target, but 2 did go in. Arsenal had 6 shots, 3 on target. Out-touched, out-passed. Arsenal had to muster 20 tackles to our 11, yet we had 23 clearances to their 13. We had 8 corners to their 9. They had 5 offsides, I believe. Almost all of them were won.
Gabriel Martinelli. Yeah, welcome.
They had 3 cautions to our none, and they conceded 10 fouls to our 4. So, look, honestly, that's a clean sweep on the statistical sheet, if I'd have to say so. And then the cherry on top of it all from a statistical perspective is at Kaylee_graphics, giving us an XG map for Arsenal. And it was Arsenal versus Chelsea rough expected goals sum, 0.5 for Arsenal, 3.0 for Chelsea. So this is an underperforming day for us. Nick, do you see that XG plot? It's like a crime scene for Chelsea.
Yeah. It's like a splatter pattern.
Yeah. I mean, it's a buckshot.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever played paintball and you barely can hit the target and there are just a bunch of other things happening. It's like that.
Yeah. I mean, when you can essentially count on one hand what Arsenal produced on the day, that's not great. Dan, let's go ahead and run us through a random stat or two.
There's 2 that I really enjoyed. One from Statman Dave, with the Chelsea are yet to concede a goal in the Premier League, and their expected goal allowed, so XGA, just 0.64, which is the best in the league. Man City are second with 1.24.
Which is double.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, look, we have played 2 sides that are going to be at the bottom of the table for probably the majority of the season, so we do have to keep that in mind. There is a caveat there. We have to just, again, when you're playing teams who are going to be in a relegation fight, you have
and
to
Roy Keane just
really think about that.
Beating Arsenal right now.
Dan is on this Arsenal is getting relegated mode right now, and I love it.
I'm on the warp path, and it feels so good. The other one is that Chelsea have now won each of their last 5 London derbies away from home in the Premier League for the first time since 2006 under Mourinho. Fulham, Spurs, Palace, West Ham, Arsenal. That is also quite tasty. Kings of the capital.
London is blue, you fucks.
It's pretty
How
simple.
about that?
Pretty simple. All right, well, let's kick it off with Luke, who's back, and how it changed our tack. So the Belgian is back. Tell a friend. Yes, he's back. He's back. He's back. I'm assuming that was an Eminem lyric that I definitely did not nail the cadence to.
Nailed it. Yes.
So Romelu Lukaku didn't take long to start scoring and give Chelsea a different way to solve the problem of scoring goals and beating teams. But before we do that, why are we continuing this parade or processional if you are on my side of it? Nick Verlaney, you literally were given a green jacket by Dan today, and I was nowhere to be seen.
An incredibly kind gesture from one Danathan Dormer, who I think recognizes greatness, recognized game on the prediction front, and gave me what an incredible graphic that he's made on his phone. A green jacket, and look, I think if you watch the Masters, you kind of understand where this is going. But feels nice to be king for a day,
So we can go back to normal tomorrow.
Oh,
I'll bring it up.
I'll resume terrible service tomorrow, but today feels pretty good. Yeah.
He's a hero just for one day. That's there you go. He gets his opportunity to soak it up and gloat about it. And look, when you get it that right, you have to beat your chest and celebrate it.
Now, look, Brandon. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain,
Yep.
So there it is.
So you're retiring?
No, God, no.
Okay.
No. I'm going to see myself become a villain. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, well, here we go. As we break down, look, there's nowhere else to start except Romelu Lukaku's performance right now because it was just that important and it was very new to the team. Obviously adding a talismanic player like him. And all we had to do is make sure that after all of the hype that Chelsea put behind him, after all the hype that us as fans put behind him, that at the end of the day, he went and had to do the damn business, and business was done, damn it. Yash, which is Odrio Zolite, which is a Spanish thing, and I can't get through that, said Romelu Lukaku is an outlet. Lukaku was a brilliant outlet for Chelsea throughout the game, receiving 22 progressive passes, the most in the game.
Stupid.
The second best was Mount with 7. His hold-up play and ability to link up with others is fantastic, and then they have a heat map of it. He received 1 of those 22 passes in our defensive half. Okay, and I think
8 inside the box.
Okay, so between that, right, 11 was between half field and the 18-yard box from there. So what I tweeted at this one point, Dan, was that Arsenal should probably not let Antonio Rudiger pass the ball on the ground to Romelu Lukaku, who is just posting up a center back with one arm behind him. They should maybe try to disrupt that.
Look, Lukaku he gave you the script on how to play against him. You don't get close.
The clip with Carragher?
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there in the wild. The fact that Arteta wasn't giving the defenders a Clockwork Orange treatment and just playing that over and over again with their eyelids open for the 24 to 40 hours before the match is just lunacy. This is a scenario where you knew exactly how he was going to plug in to this team. You knew exactly how he was going to play. He was going to come back to receive the ball. He was going to turn and play it off and kind of continue to move forward. And just in general, Nick, the movement was excellent. The receiving of the ball, the spin cycle he was putting the defenders through. And look, yeah, sure, they didn't have Ben White, so they didn't have their preferred pairing due to a COVID issue for being out. But in general, I don't think Lukaku was going to have a problem with any of the defenders that make up Arsenal's collection of misfit Premier League players.
Ben White's not stopping this chart. Okay. I've heard all the Arsenals oh, well, we didn't have our team.
Ben White is 6 foot tall, 172 pounds.
It might have been worse. Yeah.
Did you realize how tall Tuchel was before? Because his post-match thing where he goes to hug Lukaku and you're oh, damn.
They're seeing eye to eye.
You're much taller.
Lukaku is 6'3", 205. Behave yourself, Arsenal fans. Ben White has got nothing.
Also, let me just say this. I was watching this man straight up bully people today. He did the thing where he reached back while he was backing into goal, receiving the ball with his feet, holding someone off, and then turning and making a perfect pass or turning and running at someone. They had no idea what to do with him today. And if you think that's the last time he's doing that this season, allow me to place a large wager against that because that man gave me this incredible flashback of Diego Costa rolling Arsenal for that crazy, or actually rolling City for the crazy Willian goal where he just used his body appropriately, backed in, shrugged off, and then ran. I just had this massive flashback. I don't think he's Drogba. I think he's Costa plus. Like, it's crazy.
I love the fact, too, how central he stayed. You know, I think we've at times found ourselves without someone to give us the outlet there, right? And like everybody floats out to the wings. And so you have all this great wing play, and the furthest forward outfield players near the box are like your midfielders. So it's like your Kovacic and your Jorginho, your Conte, and you're like, that's not the person I want centrally to receive. And so Lukaku making himself available in those positions benefited the midfielders, but also benefited the wingbacks because then they also got tons of free space.
Dan, you fucking nailed it. How many times did you see when Arsenal were attacking our box? Was Lukaku back defending? No. He wasn't even on the screen. He was still up top. He was making sure that when we turned the ball over, he was available to receive the ball and bring play up. He wasn't tracking back to be our 11th defender. He doesn't have to. That's not his job. His job is to start the counterattack and get it moving. And that was 100%. I was with my buddy Joe today, and we both noticed that. And I was like, dude, he's not even on the screen right now. Like, that's perfect. I love it.
Is that the OG Joe?
The OG Joe.
Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah. That was good. Look, two things I want to say about
Joe Maha, you know?
Two things I want to say about Lukaku. One, did anyone feel like, how about this? Lukaku looked like he had been a Chelsea player for a lot longer than a week. And Correct. It didn't feel weird to see him in a Chelsea kit, which I think it very well could have, right? Like he's been to four different clubs since he's been at Chelsea. He just seemed settled in the team and that role and the players around him. And like you could be understood if you were confused that he hadn't been on the team for quite a while. It just clicked and it just fit.
There were a bunch of comments that Tuchel had after the match, and I put a couple in here later in the script from Nazar, but there was one I didn't capture, but he talked about how quickly Lukaku embedded with the team, how he was a democratic leader, how he was getting involved and bringing a level of familiarity and commonality between the players. And look, when someone also speaks 7 languages, you know, they're also going to be able to be that cosmopolitan individual that can really tie people together. And he has this undying affection and love for Chelsea. And so all of these things have just acquiesced to create a perfect moment for the player, the perfect moment for the club, and the perfect moment for us as fans to just sit back and watch something magical unfold, Nick.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, you watch the 1,000 videos that Chelsea produced this week with Lukaku, and all you see is a leader. That's a leader right there. And he comes in with a ton of respect from everybody else who's around him. And you can tell straight away in the training videos they showed, from the open training, from the pregame warm-up, everyone's looking to him because he's a leader. I mean, he's a big presence. He's a big personality, obviously. But it's not hard to understand, Brandon, that this guy is at the perfect moment right now for Chelsea. And his leadership will be needed this year for sure.
Yeah, the last thing I was going to say was that you talk about his positioning. He was always in the danger spot, and it seemed like every time the ball went in the box, he was at least getting half of a touch on it every time it came to him. And as you go back to Statman Dave on Twitter, because he broke down Lukaku's game by numbers, it was 95% pass accuracy from a striker. 11 touches inside the box, 8 shots, 7 were inside the box, 7 aerials contested, 4 of those won, 3 chances created, 3 attempted dribbles, 2 successful dribbles, so he completed 2 of the 3. He had 2 big chances, 2 fouls won, a 1.41 XG himself, and a goal. Super, super dominant. And there's a reason why Reece and Alonso had so much time on the wings, because he was a handful. It took at least 2 Arsenal players, which then created opportunities for overloads and gaps on the opposite side of play.
It's a calculated risk that you're going to have teams take all year. Do we sandwich Lukaku because we know he's a threat, And thus, because Chelsea are a wide team anyway, they play with width, you're leaving a ton of space for one or two fullbacks to get forward. Or do you leave him one-on-one where he can bully a really bad English defender into a terrible spot and let him score a bunch of goals? I mean, of course, he's incredibly unlucky to not have a second today. I mean, an incredible save by Leno has to be said from that bullet header. I mean, that absolutely insane save. But Mason missed him on 3 or 4 runs that he made. You know, yeah. He could have had more today, which is
and assists. And assists.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is that like you'll see hopefully over time, you know, if it's the Mason, Havertz, Lukaku show, that maybe that 22 progressive passes being received probably splits a little bit more evenly, and Mason can then do his like half turn run to set up Lukaku.
He had one today.
Yeah, I think you're gonna find that rhythm as they get a chance to play with each other a little bit more, build up the chemistry that they're gonna need over the course of the season. But like all of this is just beyond promising for what this could really unlock for this team.
All right, well, let's see what Tommy T had to say about his shiny new toy. Thank you to Nisar Kinsella, our buddy at goal, for pulling these quotes in the post-match presser. He says, quote, "He linked up very well with Mount and Havertz. He gave something to our game so we could play very direct to their last line. He was very good on the counterattacks already. Of course, there's stuff to improve at this stage of the season. Very good debut," end quote. And then as Tuchel elaborated, because he's asked about something by, I think, everyone in that presser about Lukaku, he had to keep his responses fresh. So this one on his mental attributes, quote, "It's his age, experience, and he is a Chelsea fan, and he has always been a Chelsea fan since day one. He has the personality also in playing for big clubs before. He has this trust for himself, so hopefully he takes the pressure off our young guys," end quote. I mean, Nick, that's exactly what we kind of talked about, right? The moment that we're bringing Lukaku back for many, many millions of pounds makes sense on all kind of criteria.
We'll talk a little bit about the pressure off on one of our next topics for a young guy. But I mean, this team looks the business, and it looks the business. It looked the business before Lukaku got here, but today gave me those 2014-15 vibes, our first season podcasting, where you're like, oh God, like
where it looks like Arsenal is like the 2015-16 vibes.
yeah. I mean, where you like if you have a striker in your Chelsea and you can score goals more frequently than you did last year while giving up 0.064 xGA. Which whatever. It might be just as accurate as XG for me personally, but whatever. Like, if you know that you're not giving up shots, and more specifically shots on target, and you got a guy who can score one a game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a recipe for a shit ton of success this season. So, hey, we're going to take a real quick break. When we get back, we got to talk about the impact of the wingbacks, because holy hell, they were everywhere. But before we do that, Nick, we've got another jam-packed week of pods. What should everyone be excited to see coming at them?
Well, after a long-deserved hiatus and vacation, Matt Law.
Second one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, but he didn't really get one at the beginning of summer because of Euros and whatnot. So we're gonna let him have that one. Matt Law coming back midweek. So very, very excited to get him back on the show. Of course, we play Liverpool next weekend, so we're gonna do a Liverpool preview and include the Champions League draw reactions in there. If you remember, the Champions League is the thing that we won last year. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So we're also going to react to the men's team players sweeping some awards, because that is most likely going to happen as well.
Boy, oh boy. So look, lots more pods. Buy shirts, join Patreon, do all the things. But yeah, we're excited.
All right. Well, thanks to sponsors for financially supporting the show. We'll be right back. All right, here we go on the wingbacks time, because Marcos Alonso is completely reinvigorated. This is Antonio Conte version Marcos Alonso. And now flanking him on the other side is Reece Mother Truckin' James, just up and down the bomber, up and down the right side. And Chelsea had it. I mean, it's to the point where Alonso was finding Reece was finding Alonso. At some point, Reece was on the left side of the box, and Alonso was in the middle. You're just like, I don't even know what's going on. But at the end of the day, this was a massive tactical advantage that Chelsea had. We enjoyed so much freedom on the flanks, and that was not only to Reece and Marcos, but again, to that forward play and the ability of Mount and Kai to occupy the middle. So, Dan, I'll let you go ahead and run through Reece James' stats to kind of set the scenes. We'll start with Reece, and then we'll go to Alonso.
Well, the Stanford Fridge, his game by the numbers, 93% pass accuracy, 91 touches, 9 crosses, 6 duels won, 4 chances created, 4 shots, 4 ball recoveries, 3 tackles, 2 fouls won, 1 goal, 1 assist, and 1 scary moment. But we later found out that was because he thought he might have lost a tooth. And so he just wanted to stay down for a moment to collect himself, according to Thomas Tuchel.
Hey, man, I'd freak out too if I thought I lost a molar. It's no joke.
Yeah.
So Reece James, again, a little bit last season, right? Had to compete for time with Aspi Nick. I think Tuchel talked about the fact he needed to kind of continue to learn and develop. Matt Law gave us that insight, right? How Chilwell and Reece James were learning the art of a wingback because they, hadn't really played that advanced of a position. My word, Reece James was tyrannical out there today.
I mean, the commentary, Lee Dixon, Arlo White, and Graham Lasso, I should say. Sorry, I don't know where I got Grant from. They were talking about the first half was Reece James and how much fun he looked like he was having. And I would also have that much fun if I had acres and acres and acres of space and no one was marking me whatsoever. Not one person was out there looking at me. It doesn't matter if I have a wicked shot on me. It doesn't matter if I can assist like crazy. No one's marking me. I'm just going to go out there and have a day. It was phenomenal. I mean, we hadn't really seen much of Reece in the last handful of weeks for preseason or anything like that. So, it's tough to kind of know how he'd come back into the game or anything. But apparently our guy had quite a great break in the action and came back fresh and now has a striker in which he can provide assists to. Really cool. And then Mason Mount gave him a nice opportunity for a goal, which he decided to laser into the top left corner. So I think all in all, our boy Reece had a phenomenal day and didn't really have too much work to do on the defensive side. I mean, he kind of locked up Saka, and it was pretty easy from there. He got a little lucky, admittedly, on the penalty no call. I think if we're going to be fair and balanced about the coverage here, like I think it was probably a penalty in my eyes. I think he got lucky that the referee waved it off immediately on the field, and thus VAR wasn't going to do a whole lot to overturn it. But on all in all, his day was phenomenal. He played with freedom and excitement and exuberance. And as Dan said in our group thread, Brandon, the goal celebration was absolutely fucking mint. I mean, just in the Arsenal supporters' faces with the badge. Come on.
Dude knows how to celebrate. Dude knows how to rile up a bunch of fans. He did it against the Sevilla supporters at the Super Cup, just to let them know, like, hey, by the way, we were here and we won. And now he's doing it in front of all these Arsenal supporters. And I think Brandon even pointed out, as he was doing like a Where's Waldo, he found like one Chelsea supporter, most likely, in the group of all these Arsenal supporters. The guy who has clearly a big grin on his face and is not flicking him off, is not giving him a sign, who's just looks pretty happy about what just happened.
Yeah, he's completely satisfied in a sea of turmoil and 2 fingers and fists clenched. With Reece today, so happy for him. But he's going to walk away saying, I should have had 2 goals. When he pulled it back for Mason and kind of got it cut under Mason's foot, Mason's sitting there going, well, why did you not shoot yourself? But we talk about Reece, and as we use this as a chance to bring in Alonso, I want to go back to this new triangle of focus, right, with Lukaku, Alonso, and Reece. In the past, I think people out on the flanks have been concerned about putting the ball in the box. And we've talked about that. Not a lot of height, not a lot of presence. Sometimes Timo is on the backside. Sometimes he's chasing play, but no one's like in the 6, in the mixer, ready to go. We saw Reece and Alonso put balls in on the ground early. We saw them float balls in the box. We saw them whip crosses into the box. And again, it went back to the fact that Lukaku was on everything today. And so I think what's going to happen is it's going to make their jobs a hell of a lot easier, because a lot of times I think we get annoyed when the ball gets to the end line and then we just kind of turn towards the corner flag and just drop it back and we recycle it. Now we have that point of focus, Dan, for these wingbacks to really put the ball in dangerous spaces or put it up and let him battle for it.
Well, I mean, Alonso was Havertz and Lukaku were all critical in their link-up play for Reece's goal. If Alonso doesn't stay on his feet to get it to Kai, who gets it back to him so that he can then get it to Lukaku, it was like a game of mousetrap. Like each one of the things happened in sequential action and then triggered the next event to occur. But Alonso just looks dominant right now. It's really a resurgent type of form that he's found. And, he's really reached into the locker and is doing something that, really is probably making it a very easy choice to leave Ben Chilwell out, and Ben Chilwell was pocketing attackers in the Champions League final not so recently ago. So, just hats off to Alonso. The stat was that we pulled the year, created more chances than any other player against Arsenal with 5. He was also fouled more times than any other player with 3, which is just silly. He's absolutely silly. He's
still really slow. But again, his mind is what makes him so good. His vision and his touch are phenomenal. And even on that free kick, Nick, he floated it to the back post, and I think it was Rudiger. I mean, he found him. We crossed it. He centered it back. We just missed it. But again, his ability to put a ball where we need it was super helpful. And then lastly, all I want to say is don't forget, Marcos Alonso played for Bolton, and now he's a Champions League winner. So talk about a glow up.
Maybe we've also had another former Bolton player win the Champions League with us. Gary Cahill. What's up?
Anelka?
Anelka. No, Anelka did not win one. Yeah, but yeah, look, you guys have waxed poetic on Alonso. If he's keeping Chilwell out, he's playing well, right?
And the good news is Chilwell is great depth off the bench. We finally offloaded the third left back, Emerson Palmieri, going on loan to Lyon. So now Chilwell and him, it's going to get thick and fast. We're going to have some time there's going to be a rotation. But if you're going to have a super offensive threat with Marcos Alonso, but then also be able to lock it down defensively with Chilwell, Tuchel's got to be thrilled with those options.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we stunned Nick into submission.
Why wouldn't he be? The fact of the matter is, with this system and the way that the wingbacks have to play, you're going to have to interchange them a lot this year. You can't have a wingback play 4 or 5 straight games in a week and a half's time with as much running as they do. So he's going to need Chilwell just as much as he did last year. Please don't panic. But Alonso had a longer preseason. Alonso's playing well right now. He's playing the hot hand. You have to play him. It's a meritocracy for a reason. So, yeah, I think that's it.
I think the one thing maybe to kind of call out just in terms of things that will be interesting to see how Tuchel manages after this match. We did lose a little bit of steam in the midfield, kind of in that 60 to 70th minute. And, Conte comes in and just, again, was not making people for fun. It was giving the ball to Xhaka so he could take it back from him and pickpocket him. It was great. It was a really, just a fun type of thing. There was a great mood and atmosphere to it. Once we got the second goal, I was not worried at all that we were going to either A, concede because they looked impotent, and then B, that we would lose. So, just in general, they look dire. They look really, really bad. But we shouldn't let ourselves kind of fall to that level. And so how do we maintain that type of energy and commitment through the full 90 minutes? How do we refresh appropriately? Tuchel did put on Conte, so that did kind of help. But, I think in general, maybe this was a game, I think Kai's trying to find his place still too, Brandon. He was maybe the one in the attack who didn't find the same kind of opportunity. And again, Kovacic maybe just lost a little bit of steam later there, but did play some good passes earlier on before attempting his, SpaceX launch of a shot into Rosette.
Look, impotent, flaccid, limp. There's a lot of ways you could describe this Arsenal team, Dan.
Boy.
They should go see their physios for some help.
Arsenal, sponsored by Roman, you know?
So, yes, I think Kai is still trying to find where he should occupy space within this team as well. My guess is he's usually available on the cutback, but I do remember like him, Jorginho, and Alonso had this really nice, clean give and go in tight spaces at the kind of top left side of the box. So I agree with that. He's definitely still trying to find his kind of space to occupy and how to get involved. But I mean, didn't he play the ball to Reece on the assist? And he got the dummy from Lukaku right across the ball, or that was Mason. So, anyways, We're back to Havertz. Still.
Well, it was Kai to Alonso to Lukaku to Mason to Reece to goal.
Okay. Yep. Did it get to Mendy at all, or okay? We'll figure that out. No.
Hey, he wasn't involved.
So average positions, real quick. We have Lukaku and Mount essentially on top of each other in the center attacking part of the pitch. Reece James was right up there on the right. Kai Havertz are up there on the left. And then the midfield was essentially Alonso, Kovacic, Jorginho with that three. Rudiger, Christensen, Aspie, exactly where do you expect them? Mendy firmly planted at the top of his six. The team is tight, Nick. The team is compact. Some very obvious triangle passes or passing lanes. Some very obvious diamond passing lanes between Rudiger, Kovacic, Alonso, Kai. And a lot of interchange. I think what's interesting is there is a big gap, kind of almost where like a number 10 would sit, that no one's really occupying. Like there's a big gap centrally between the midfield and the strikers. So I wonder how that ends up being played. But again, we didn't need to because we had all the room down the wings today. So maybe it was just a circumstantial thing today.
Yeah, I think Mason will tell you that, despite his open field assist.
What?
What
was that?
Yeah, he actually had an open field assist. I don't know.
No. I mean, Mason Mount doesn't score those. That's what I've been told.
But he did. He actually had one. He had a bunch. So it's fine. Whatever. Cool. I would have liked to see Mason drop a little bit deeper. Perhaps we'll see a 3-5-2 in future iterations of this really come to fruition. But he was positionally right next to, if not just a tiny bit ahead of Lukaku, it looks like. So there's a lot going on there that we have to work out. But he looked he looked all right, and I think he's going to get used to Lukaku. He'll get used to the runs. He'll get used to the shadowing. And, obviously he put an absolute dime on Lukaku's head that, again, he was very unlucky not to score. So he could have had 2 open field assists today, which would have been just terrible for the haters.
Broke the internet.
Yeah, so...
All right. A couple other things that we've been requested to touch on before we get to the trademark Dan of the match. Aerith Mug on Discord asks, has anything about the proper start to this season, Super Cup, through today's win against Arsenal, changed how you view anything about our squad, team, manager, etc.? So it sounds like he's giving me a chance to change one of my preseason predictions because Lukaku wasn't on the team then. And we weren't whooping teams from London for fun. Crystal Palace, South London, Arsenal, North London. So, here's your chance, gentlemen. Has anything changed on your view? If anything, I think I'm more emboldened at how damn good we are. I think we're one top midfield player away from being like top tier team. I don't think we have like 2 in every position there. But everywhere else, you have about 5 for every attacking position where Kai and Mason are.
We are selling Zappacosta. So, just again, we're going to go down to being really thin in some positions.
He'll probably sign a 1-year extension, then we loan him. But anyways, I digress.
No, permanent deal, according to Fabrizio.
Look, we're legit. And in a season where there's quite a few, Nick, very, I would say, confident opening season. Yeah, some surprises. United pumping Leeds, which didn't surprise you. I think City whooping Norwich today, which, don't really do anything for me. But Chelsea have done the business consistently across the 2 weeks and not conceded any. I'm pretty sure Norwich even scored against City. United conceded as well. So with that sense, we're at the top of the table on goal difference pending the last match, which is West Ham and
Leicester
on Monday. So I think we're legit as shit.
Legit as shit. Look at you.
Too legit to quit, man.
Yeah, I don't know if anything's changed. I mean, again, it's only 3 games, but I really like the look of this team. I like how physical they've been to start the year. I like that they've continued the defensive consistency that they exhibited last year, post January 27th or whatever that was, and that they are finding new ways to get in dangerous positions up top. Obviously, Lukaku changes that, but I think even before that, they were showing different ways to utilize the talent that was already in the squad. So you add in the fact that Jorginho has continued playing at a high level. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Post Lampard last year. You look at the fact that you could have any combination of 5 center backs play for Chelsea, and they're all going to perform well within this system. You see the wing back options that you have. We haven't even seen Cal this year, which is crazy. This is just a very, very deep squad, sans the midfield, and I think that's the only other place where you're right. I think we need one more guy there.
I think if N'Golo Kante stays healthy, we won the league in game week 35.
Okay.
So we have it.
So not 38.
No. We have it wrapped up with 3 matches
locked
to go.
The only thing I would say is we got in these like weird situations where we couldn't break the press and kept passing ourselves backwards into corners and things like that. That should get better as the season goes on. So the fact that that's our own doing and not something that, we're unable to solve, I'm okay with. But there was definitely a couple times in the second half, it's just like, I think we're holding on a little too long. We needed to find some way to release the press, whether it was a midfielder turning up or turning out and getting a switch on. So
yeah, I think Lukaku changes that. To know that you can pump it upfield and that he's going to have a 50-50 to take it down and advance the ball changes that scenario altogether. Yeah. I don't think we're going to become Route 1 by any means, but if you need to press the escape hatch, bam, out to him.
Yeah, same thing we did. We early released Diego Costa. I mean, him and Fabregas did that over and over. And it's not Route 1 necessarily. It's, just seizing that opportunity of space and playing him in. So AJ_Silva asking, what does our 6th gear look like? Emoji eyes. We've been coasting these past 3 games. I would say Super Cup, we probably fatigued and just maintained at that point. But Crystal Palace, for sure, non-starter. Arsenal today in the second half. I was annoyed that we didn't get our 3rd and 4th. Tuchel was as well. But there also was a lot of game management. I mean, what's his name again? The center back? Holding. Yeah. Rob. He missed the header, which wasn't as close as what we thought originally. But other than that, I mean, it didn't have too much. Mendy cleaned up on the Aubameyang break. So overall, it was again, we were the away team to Arsenal and didn't have to get out of second gear.
Yeah, I mean, what it looks like, AJ, is scoring 3 in the first half and getting subs on in the 60th minute that you need to give experience to. That's what 6th gear looks like. I think this team needs to begin to win games comfortably and just move into a match week where the other team is like, oh God, if we don't keep it scoreless to the first half, it's over. Kind of Mourinho-esque, Dan.
It's going to be our 6th gear is like the Everton 5-0 game. That's what this team I think is capable of delivering with the talent we have.
Yeah. Oh,
special shout out because I was so infuriated with Tim Howard's assessment of the match today, and I needed to
it's shocking.
We need to dunk on him a little bit. It was terrible.
I was texting with someone too who knows him, and I was just like, great player, horrible pundit. I was just like, the whole NBC, damn it, Dan, the whole NBC broadcast today, that studio cast was dry as paint. Whoever the guy in the middle was had no voice inflection whatsoever. He was monotone off a teleprompter. It got me. I was not excited about that. And Chelsea were pumping Arsenal, who they were trying to build this up as a big London derby. and it was nothing there from him. So,
but it's just a weird thing where, like, and I think we maybe get caught up in this too, where we talk a lot about Arsenal after a win and we don't celebrate our players. And so, like, we spent the majority of this episode talking about how great our players were and everything. Like, the Arsenal meltdown associated with this has been phenomenal. Like, if you just
Willian
go to
has joined
Twitter.
in.
Look, Willian's liking the final scoreline, which is exceptional.
From Chelsea.
People are making up quotes from Ty that sound realistic about how our jersey was hypnotizing players. Like, there was just so much good content out there. It was fantastic.
It's true. But look, I think to your point, and we probably need to soak it up this season while we can, because there's no guarantee it'll be here next year. So, anyways, poor punditry today. Anyways, Dan of the match, trademark patented, registered. Dan of the match versus Arsenal. Again, I think I know who wins, but you still get 4 options. I appreciate you giving people the opportunity to make mistakes. Who did you choose, though?
So I put Lukaku, Reece James, Azpilicueta, and Mason Mount. I think you could also make a shout for Alonso. You could have made a shout for Christensen. I thought he had a really tidy game in the back, too. I mean, come on. It was Lukaku, 62%. Probably could have been Reece James with a goal and assist, but you know what? Just the emotional energy of Lukaku coming back and starting the fireworks. Reece James only with 35%, Azpilicueta with 2%, and then Mason Mount with a 1%.
Why Aspi? Just for his defending?
He had some fantastic one-on-one defending today. Mm-hmm. I actually thought he really looked like he had just put on a bit of a clinic.
Yeah. He did. He was pretty excellent today.
Well,
I would say that in any other game, Reece James would have won man of the match or Dan of the match, but
you can't use man of the match. Someone trademarked that, and now they sue people who use it. That's why it's called king of the match and butt of the match, and that's why the Euros didn't use man of the match. Someone in Europe sneakily trademarked it.
Wow. It's like someone trademarked happy birthday.
More or less.
Well, all right, to our lawyers who listen to this show every week to keep us out of trouble, we need to trademark goddamn Dan of the match right now. Let's go.
Yeah, I've got the price on that. Don't worry. Anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up here with a league table and title watch. So as it stands, Chelsea top of the table on a +5 goal difference in 6 points out of 6. Second to our next opponent, Liverpool, who are also +5 in 6 of 6, but alphabetical order rules. Suck it, Liverpool. Brighton and Hove Albion, as you'd expect them, 6 of 6 +3 on goal difference.
Potter season is here.
Tottenham surprisingly rounding out the top 4, 6 of 6 +2 after playing Manchester City. So there's that. Manchester United +4 on 4 points. Everton on 4 points +2. Brentford 4 points +2 for top 7. Then Man City rounding out the Elite 8 only on 3 points. +4 goal difference, though, and they play Arsenal next week, so expect them to get 3
That'll
points.
Go to 10.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Down at the bottom, take this with a grain of salt. The teams who have 2 losses and no points are Wolves in 16 on -2, Burnley on -3, Newcastle in 18th, -4, Arsenal 19th, -4, and Norwich in 20th at -8.
I saw someone joking about Arsenal needing to remove the goals of the month competition potentially. Like, they are in danger zone of that happening to them. It's so good.
So Arsenal plays City next, right?
Yeah.
And then the telecast today did something that I was like, wow, you guys are dumb. They were like, Arsenal's best chance is the following week against Norwich. Norwich has played far better football than Arsenal to this point. Their only problem is they started the season with Liverpool and City.
Right.
And they're just not at that level. But Norwich are going to take more points. Like, Norwich are far more Premier League ready than they were 2 years ago when they were in the league. They've played some decent stuff. If you watch those games, that was not really a 5-0 against City. City's just better than they are. But they're not trying to be better than City. They're trying to be better than Burnley and Wolves and Leeds and
Arsenal. Apparently Arsenal.
But if you think that Norwich game is just going to be Arsenal walks back into the win column, no. In fact, I'll say it here now. Ooh, they're going to lose to Norwich.
Well, I already called Brentford, so I'm good calling upsets, if you want to call it that. So I'm going to cash that check and be good. The title watch, as it's far too early to predict, but yet here we are on some odds from 538. Dan, it apparently looks like we're going to win the Champions League and the Premier League this season. Exciting stuff.
Well, this is the odds to make a top 4 spot. So it's the probability that over the entirety of the season.
Look, I'm just connecting. You're connecting A to B. I'm connecting B to C. All right, it's the same trajectory.
You're connecting A to 1 to Z, and it's very fun how you do that with all your zigzags and roundabouts. So as it stands, to win the league probability is still Manchester City at 34%, even with their initial wobble. A two-way tie between City and Liverpool at 23% probability, Man United at 10%, and then Tottenham at 4%, Leicester at 2%, West Ham at 1%, and then everybody else with a sub 1% chance
of winning the league. Interesting. Nick, any reaction you want to have to that? Maybe the fact that they've got Norwich at 47% to get relegated?
No, it's the second game of the year. No, I have no reaction to this. Yeah. This is a silly chart that does not really matter until we get into winning time.
Right. I think you really got to shake out to almost 10 matches till you really get a good idea of where the table's going to be and kind of where if you're in trouble or not. So we still have a little bit of time, but boy, oh boy, was that fun. Ride high. We got an entire week till we play Liverpool. You need not worry about that. Just enjoy what you've witnessed this weekend and continue to shout from the tops of the mountains how great it was. And if you haven't given Nick Verlaney the handshake emoji on Twitter yet, you should probably go do that.
Look, Brandon, should we also recognize the fact, though, like just before we move off the table and give Nick more plaudits, which he absolutely deserves.
Yeah, sure.
After Liverpool, it's Villa, but then it's Spurs and City. So if you can keep this winning way happening over the next couple matches, we're not going to say things, but you just start to think then maybe about what the grand possibilities could be if we continue this form. And maybe like Spurs did not. They were lucky to get a penalty and did not look like they were going to figure out what to do, particularly if they keep Harry Kane, maybe there's something there. If City don't get Harry Kane and don't get a striker, they do not look very good. Villa looks very questionable. And Liverpool are good, but they've also played some weak sides. Just like us. We played bottom of the table teams, and so we'll get a chance to go up against a real heavyweight next week.
September is massively crucial for Chelsea, one step at a time. I think the international break is a huge wrinkle if you haven't been paying attention. There are a lot of potential trips to red zones in the UK, which could be requiring some mandatory quarantining upon return. So it's going to get interesting. We'll cover that as we get closer. But very heavy implications for some very big name players this season. So we'll go ahead and touch on them a bit sooner. But again, look forward to the Matt Law pod. We got the Liverpool preview, the Champions League award and draw reactions. Plenty coming at you this week. Even got a couple of surprises up our sleeves that we'll probably be announcing soon. So stay on the look on our socials. But hey, that's going to wrap us up, Chelsea fans. Honestly, enjoy it. Embrace it.
We beat Arsenal. Come on.
Without even breaking a sweat. That was rain, all right? That wasn't sweats on the players. So enjoy it. Hit us up on Discord. Hit us up on social. We'll continue the conversation, but that's going to wrap it up. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.